Well, it's been a bittersweet 5 months for homeless people in Nelson Mandela Bay. Many have been forced into shelters during the pandemic and were assured of a roof over their heads with a hot meal daily. Now, with lockdown restrictions eased, many of these shelters are closing their doors. Those who are living in the shelters are faced with the stark reality of going back to living on the streets. Our reporter Lerato Fekisi has more.
For homeless people, the realization that they now have to leave their place they called home for the past 5 months, the shelter, the refuge they had, is causing a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. When I talked to some of them this afternoon, they were saying that for them, they wish that we could go back to level 5 because back then they were guaranteed that this specific home we are at, the shelter we are at, would remain open for a long time and they could stay safe away from crime, away from drugs, also away from abuse. Where we are right now is Dago Hall, which has been a shelter and a haven to many homeless people for the past 5 months during the duration of the pandemic, and many have come here and received outstanding treatment from Department of Social Development, who have been providing food, providing good medical care to make sure that the homeless are taken care of amidst the pandemic. Joining me this afternoon is Denise van Niekerk, who has been at the shelter for 5 months, to share her story of how life was here at the shelter in comparison to the harsh reality on the street. Denise, let's just first talk about your time here at the shelter. When did you start staying here, and just talk us through how it was being at the shelter?
I just want to say thank you for social development and all the people who was taking care of me since from the street to here. I got no problem. But one thing, I was missing my children, but I have to pass through this. So I say thank you for everybody. But my heart getting so sore, but it's okay, and I wish the people can help me to have a house, to being a mother for my children, which I was hoping for this for a long time. That's why I have so much patience to can be here today.
And then when you stayed here, I saw that you were saying that everyone had their own space, you were given a bed, a comfortable space. Take us through just a life on a daily here at the shelter. How was it?
So like today I came here, I was looking at the people, but I was looking at the main thing. I want to bring help. So I stay on my own. I do everything. They give me everything, toiletries, bedding, mattresses, everything is a social distance. No problem with that. And we bath every day, water. So I say thank you for social development and people who was taking care of me.
And then I also did hear from your other fellow commuter that you guys were also provided with medical assistance as well. If you were sick, there were mobile clinics coming here. How did that make you feel that even amidst a pandemic, your health was taken care of?
The time I arrived here, there was no clinic here, but I heard there was social development. Make every week a turn and ask to everybody who want to go to clinics. They drive us there and they bring us back here.
Now the regulations have been lifted and the possibility that the shelter might close down and you guys might have to go back to the street. How does that make you feel?
Really, I don't want to go back to the street because why you have to be strong if you stay there. But for a woman like me, so I say thank you God for this thing, and I'm very sorry. I feel sorry for the persons who lost their families and child. So I said sorry, but God loves me to be here. So I just say thank you for everything.
Well, that was Denise van Niekerk saying that being at the shelter here in Dago Hall in Port Elizabeth was really a lifeline for her. She's really grateful that the Department of Social Development was able to really pull through for them, providing comfortable bed. Like you heard her saying, they got clean water to wash every single day. They got a plate of food, something that does not come easy to them every single day. She has fears of going back to the street because she says it's not safe, especially as a woman at this time with high levels of GBV. But she says that she hopes and prays that some good Samaritan out there will do their part to make sure that this home stays open, because for her it is a lifeline, it is a refuge, and it is a haven, really a heaven on earth for her to be here. For now, let's go back to you in studio.
All right, that's Lerato Fekisi there for us. According to a 2015 estimate by the Human Sciences Resource Centre, South Africa is home to approximately 200,000 street homeless people. Lack of affordable housing, unemployment, poverty, mental illness and substance abuse and the lack of much needed services are top causes of homelessness in South Africa. Added to this, the impact of COVID, and that number is growing by the minute. When I joined by Baz Timmer, a young Dutch social entrepreneur who was personally touched by homelessness and has created an organization that not only manufactures products which provide immediate shelter for the homeless, but in the process creates sustainable jobs for the unemployed. A very good afternoon to you, Baz, and thank you very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
As a start, I understand that you've been personally touched by homelessness. Tell us your story before we get into the sort of work that you do currently, and also what World Homeless Day means really to you.
Well, I've started Shelter Suit 6 years ago because the father of two of my friends died on the streets due to hypothermia, and he was homeless. And during that time, I was designing warm winter clothes and I was selling them. So I felt kind of guilty that I was making these warm clothes while people were actually dying on the streets because they didn't have proper clothing. So I designed a jacket with an attachable sleeping bag in the Netherlands, and I gave it away to a homeless person in my city. And the response from that man was so heartwarming. Mm-hmm. He was really, in the beginning when I approached him, a bit scary. Like he was like, oh, what are you coming to do? And then I said, hey, I made this for you, this jacket with sleeping bag. And he became a really nice man. So that made me also feel really good. And he said to me, can I share this jacket with two other of my friends? And I said, no, I'm going to make more. And that's when I started Shelter Suit. And we handed out now more than 12,000 of these jackets all around the world. And we are now also based in South Africa.
All right, let's talk then about the product that you sort of manufacture. What is it made of? What was the thought process really that went behind it on that initial one that you handed out, that you gave out? Talk to us about what it is and what it looks like, perhaps.
Well, it's a very robust winter jacket. The outside is completely waterproof, and the inner lining of the jacket is sleeping bag material. Mm-hmm. So it had to be waterproof, and it had to be very warm, and it had to be multifunctional. So you can use it in daytime and nighttime. So daytime you wear the jacket, and at nighttime you have a duffel bag. You take out a blanket, you zip it together with the jacket, and it becomes a full body sleeping bag. Uh-huh. So it's a jacket with an attachable sleeping bag. And we make it of waste material. So we upcycle materials from the textile industry into these products. This is a very warm product. So it's very suitable for Europe, but not for South Africa or other warm climates. So that's why we also designed a shelter bag. Yeah. And a shelter bag is a duffel bag which you convert into a tent for one person, with a mattress, a pillow, a hood, and a waterproof cover, and you can roll it all up into a duffel bag. And we are now making those in South Africa for only 600 Rand, together with people behind the sewing machines that have been homeless or have been in not so easy situations, and we are giving them job training and a salary. And that's how we make the shelter bag in South Africa. Yeah,
you're really killing so many birds with one stone, Baz. You're essentially creating employment. You are helping the homeless situation in South Africa. And you're also helping out physically in terms of sheltering the homeless. So I'd just like to know, what kind of support are you receiving? You mentioned that there is a cost to this, it's 600 Rand. Is there support that you are receiving? And have you reached out perhaps, let's say, to the government or whoever can really, or maybe even NGOs that are able to assist you in any way? Where do you get your support?
So we get our support from different types of organizations. We are getting it from corporates and from non-profits, for instance, mainly in the Netherlands for now. But we are really seeking to have a broader network of funders. For instance, non-profits in South Africa that would like to help the homeless in South Africa, that would like to employ women behind the sewing machine, or youth behind the sewing machine, those type of non-profits, we would really like to work together with them. Yeah. It's really still a struggle to hand out these bags because we just don't get enough funding. There are 200,000 homeless people in South Africa, and from some corporates, it's not that difficult to donate maybe 1,000 shelter bags, which is like 60,000 rand, or 600,000 rand. So I'm really looking for the corporates and affluent people to help us to protect the people while they are on the street. Because I know they need to be off the streets, but while they are on the street, let's at least protect them.
Yeah, and those looking to help you, how do they get hold of you, Baz? For those listening to the show today who think they might want to be able to assist you, how do they then reach you?
They can reach us by the website sheltersuit.com. You can leave an email and we'll be in contact with you. Our goal is to set up more pods across South Africa, so eventually we can protect all the homeless in South Africa. And I really believe that we can do this together, and that it's time to protect those people that are forced to sleep on the street. So contact us, go to sheltersuit.com, do a donation, host a fundraiser, or just reach out to us and help us.
Yeah, and just in closing, I mean, you did mention the fact that, you are helping in terms of creating some sort of job opportunities. And really, I suppose, on a positive note, if we can leave this interview then on that positive note, what are the changes that you have perhaps noted or seen from those really benefiting from your project, whether it is those that now have shelter or whether it is those that are now working and creating some form of income for themselves? What are those positive changes you have been able to see?
It's actually from both sides. It's the emails and the messages and the responses I get from social workers that say that the shelter bags that have been received by the homeless people are very valuable to them. So they sleep in it and they don't lose it. So it means like they sleep actually every night now warm and comfortably in a shelter bag. So that is for me very positive. And next to that, for the people behind the sewing machine in our program, what we really see is that they find stability. So there's less stress, of course, for income. But mainly it is that when you don't have much, it's really hard to help people. And I think that when you are able to help people by sewing protective clothes, I think it really uplifts your spirit and it gives you a good feeling that with your work, you are actually helping other people. So it's really a win-win. And please join us in our movement to protect everybody that needs to be protected.
All right, Baz, thank you so much for the work that you do. I certainly do appreciate it, and I think a lot of us do. And keep up, and I do hope you do receive the kind of support that you're doing. You do receive that support you're hoping for in the long term. Thank you for your time. Thank you.